What is up, gang? Justin here, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. Yes, we have another Comic Collector Origins tonight. This is season 2, episode 12, and the big question is, who is Up North Comics? We'll get into it. If you guys aren't familiar with the show, it is all about the community. It's where I have guests come on and I interview them about their origin story, how they first got started in this great hobby of comic books and reading and collecting. So it's been a lot of fun. I always say this every time I kick it off, but man, I've loved so much the show, just meeting everybody. I appreciate everybody who's always in the chat or always watching the replay, the support for this channel. I mean, this show is for the community. It's for the people that I've met, and made the connections with. And really a goal of mine is finding people who I connect with and think are awesome and fun people that relate to the same things I relate to. And I want to introduce them to more people. So that's essentially kind of how I came up with the show to begin with. And, now we're multiple years into it already. So it's just been a lot of fun and looking forward to more. So appreciate everybody hanging out here on this Wednesday evening. Couple of items to go over real quick. I know, we last night just had our Omni X-Men show on my channel here. We will have another episode in 2 weeks from yesterday. So we'll be on John's channel. So be ready for that. We're technically skipping next Tuesday. And then, of course, I will have more. I have more Origins in line. So not next week, but every other Wednesday as I've been doing so far. So I'm excited to look down the road and see more of those. I just got back from ZapCon this past weekend. So I am working on the live Comic Collector Origins I just did at ZapCon, the editing for that. I'll have that uploaded hopefully this weekend, if not sometime next week, but we'll see. But I'm really excited because I did get to interview Corey Brown from Zap Comics, the one of the co-owners of the store, Zap Comics being my LCS, if you didn't know. And they had their own Comic-Con this past Saturday, so it was a lot of fun. I did do a little live stream earlier in the week and showed off some of the books. But yeah, I want to show off that Origins show because that was the first time I ever did it in front of a live audience. I mean, I do it now in front of a live digital audience, but I was actually in front of real people when I did it that time around. So it was very, very different for me in that regard. So, but yeah, I am very excited for tonight's guest, as I mentioned already, talking about Up North Comics. If you guys don't know, I'm thinking now I met Bruce just this past Terrificon. We were just talking a little bit backstage about it. If you guys don't know Bruce, make sure you follow him, hit him up over on Instagram. I put his information in the description below. He's just an amazing guy, somebody who I've met with now. It just become a father second time around and is able to still take some time to join me on the show tonight, which I really do appreciate the time and everything. So let me bring on my man Bruce, aka Up North Comics. Bruce, what's up, brother?
What's going on, Justin? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Yeah, part of the Council of X, my friend. Yeah, you represent the shirt.
Represent.
I love it, dude. I love it. I love it. Shout out to Dan and Ryan and the rest of the crew. Yeah, man. It's I'm so excited to have you on. Thanks for agreeing to take some time. I know you've been living that busy dad life recently, and I know it never stops. So I appreciate you being able to step away for a little bit and do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man, for sure. And again, for those who, if you're not following Bruce, make sure you do so. I put all his information, his links are in the description below. Bruce, before we get into everything, let's say a quick hello to the chat because I do see a couple folks hanging out and saying hello to everybody. So my man, Big Nasty Comics says, I'm first. Yeah, you beat everybody. Props to you, my friend. Good to see you, Big Nasty. Appreciate you. We got Christopher Parker in the house. What's going on, Chris? Good evening. Chris. Good evening. Let's see, we got Oh Yeah Comics, one of my favorite YouTuber names there. Love it. Good to see you, my friend. Let's see, we got my man Dave, Four Corners Comics. What's going on, Four Corners? Good to see you as well. Appreciate you swinging by here. So let's get into this, Bruce, because no time's to waste in here. I want to know first and foremost, I know we've just from connecting at trade show or at trade shows, Comic-Cons and things like that, I feel like we're synced up on a lot of other things, not even just comic books. But first, I do want to know your origin of really how you came to be with comics and whether it was when you first started reading them or just started collecting them. How old were you? What did your environment look like at the time?
So my origin story, I actually discussed this on JP and Rohan's channel a while back, but
Nice. Yep.
if anybody hadn't had a chance to check that out, I'll go through it again. Growing up, I was a son of a huge collector. My father was a huge collector of Mego action figures. He did comics. He did Redline, Hot Wheels. He did Star Wars. He did G.I. Joe, like the tall ones. So growing up, I was always around that stuff. And that totally just took my life over into adulthood. Like, I never thought I would be in this road that I'm in right now, but here I am. I mean, I'm glad to call myself a collector, and not just of comics, but just all things, you know. I love being around just vintage stuff, vintage collectibles, toys, comics, all that. So growing up, I was, like I said, I was around that a lot. And it just that's where my nostalgia comes from, is being around that, being around my father, dragging me to card conventions and toy conventions and baseball games and everything. You know, I did everything with my dad. So unfortunately, we don't have a very good relationship right now. We haven't talked in a couple of years.
Oh man.
You know, just for other reasons, but he was a big influence to the way I am now and how I approach, you know, raising my kids, and also like building my collection. I'm a big Star Wars collector, vintage Star Wars collector, as well as G.I. Joe. Those are my two main focuses there. And also comics. I got into comics 2021. So, you know, just been building a nice collection of that.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I definitely see how all that ties together, and interesting that you, you know, started out not with comics, but with almost everything else. It's, you know, from what it sounds like, and obviously a lot of that ties into
a lot of vivid memories
comics.
with vintage collectibles in particular.
Yeah. What was it about the collectibles that like had you, especially at a young age? I mean, you say a young age, like, I mean, like, you know, 5 years old, you were into it, or, you know, a teenager at this point, or just kind of.
I started collecting, yeah, at a young age. Like, I was really into Power Rangers. I remember having all those toys as a kid. Turtles, you know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then it kind of evolved into like whatever my dad was collecting at the time. Like, I remember for Christmas, I'd get gifts like cases of Star Wars figures, like from the 70s. And I'd ask that as a gift for Christmas, and I would get it as a gift for Christmas. So it's pretty wild. And, you know, growing up, I had my own collection of wrestlers. I was really into like WWF at the time.
Dude, same.
Oh, I remember like having like kind of like behind me, like shelves of just all of them lined up, just like my dad did, because he had shelves of stuff and cabinets full of toys, and you know, he had boxes full of comics and all that. So like, I wanted to be just like my dad, right? So I'd like line them all up, and that it just continued on. Like, I remember after I was, you know, in high school, I didn't care about that stuff anymore. I mean, not a lot of people do. Some people do, but I was kind of into girls and stuff like that, and, you know, skateboarding and, you know, just being a kid, and
all the phases.
Yeah. And I remember like probably around 2016 is when I was like, all right, I'm going to start collecting again. And that's when I met Brandon on comics around that time.
Oh, okay.
So we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah. Wow. So before the comics got involved, even.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Me and Brandon have been friends for probably 10 years now.
Wow. Okay. Very cool.
The first time we ever met was at Terrificon.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Wow. That's really cool.
So yeah. So I started collecting around 2016. I started with like, you know, Star Wars, and I still have them. I'm continuously building my collection. So
yeah.
And then I got into comics. It was actually Brandon that had suggested to me, like, hey man, you should check it out. And
wow, I
didn't know what I was getting into at the time, because comics is so diverse. Like, it's crazy, like how different paths and different roads you could go down.
So true. As a collector, as a reader, the way you take on the hobby is 1,000 different ways. That is wild, man. So I have two questions, and to rewind a little bit. But first, real quick, I want to say a quick hello to my man Kenneth Bird in the chat. What is going on, Kenneth? We also have Joel the Geek hanging out. What's going on, Joel? Hello, hello. He says, "Yes, may the force be with you." Yeah. I wanted to say to ask. Well, first of all, you mentioned the wrestlers.
Yeah.
I remember having a ton of wrestlers, and yeah, WWF. I had the ring. Did you have like the ring? Like
Oh yeah, I had
that right?
everything.
So I have to ask, did you play with these things? I know you said you put them up on the wall.
Course.
Okay, you were
Of
all over.
course.
All right, awesome. That's so great because
But
I
I
remember
had
my
like
friends would come over and everything.
yeah, so I would have like my collection on my wall, and then I'd have like a separate collection of just the ones that I played with. It was
Okay,
like
yeah,
I had to have like the rare ones on the shelf. Like I had
I
this
get it.
all mapped out when I was a kid, man. Like
I
it's
totally
kind of
get it.
crazy.
It's just like comics, you got to have a reader copy and a nice
Yeah,
copy.
yeah, of course,
That's hysterical, man. Yeah, dude. I remember like I even had the little wrestling guys that were like the pillows that were like this, like
Yep.
shape. You know what I'm saying? They're like
Yes.
I don't know, whatever size it was,
Yep.
and like would literally like be on my bed wrestling.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. I would do that too. I would do the same thing. Wrestling was a big deal for us growing up. Because
Yeah.
we're around the same age, right? I'm 38.
Yeah. I'm 36. Yep.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
Attitude
About to be
Era
37. Yeah.
wrestling, that was huge,
Yep.
huge.
Big time. That was some of the best wrestlers, too. Like some of the best like
Yeah.
times to be in wrestling. Like any, even with Stone Cold and The Rock and everybody coming up. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and the funny thing about it is, you would think growing up I had those toys and I cherished them, and of course, Mom threw them away and I don't have them anymore. I don't have any of those anymore, and I haven't wanted to like collect them. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really odd the way my mind works. I don't know why.
So so now I'm thinking because I don't I try my best not to get into another hobby.
Okay, yeah.
And so I know action figures definitely is one I have not really explored yet, but the way we're talking, like I feel like if I were at a Comic-Con or a show of some sort and I saw like a wrestler action figure that I remember from that time, that actually might trigger that nostalgia for me, and where I might be like, dang, like, and it's, $20 or whatever. Like, I think I may have to buy it.
And that's how it starts.
And that's how it starts. So I need to really avoid. Yeah. I gotta cover my eyes when I'm walking by these action figures.
Probably should do that. It was funny because at Terrificon, I was with Dan, I was with you, I was with Ryan, and I was buying toys, and Ryan was like going to booths with me, and he was buying like Colossus figures. Like it was really cool. Like,
yeah, man,
to have that effect on somebody like Ryan's not into toys, and
right.
and I don't blame him. If that's not his thing, that's not his thing.
Sure.
But I kind of influenced him to buy something. It was kind of cool. I don't know.
It's the best, man. It's the absolute best. I feel the same way, even with comics. Knowing certain comic book collectors that don't read or collect certain things, like me putting you guys on Nightwing or stuff like that, like random things, and I'm like, dude, you're gonna love this.
I would have never even like known about it if it wasn't for you. You actually have shown me a lot of books that I enjoy now. I mean, I remember being on a stream with you guys not long ago, and you and Brandon were on a stream, and you were rifling off all these like modern comics, and
you guys had your pen and paper, you were writing them down. I remember. Yeah, dude, that to me, I love that, and I love to be able to pass that in the same way. You had gotten somebody like Ryan to like dabble in some of the toys and stuff like that. I'm sure the next time we meet, I wouldn't put it past you. I'm gonna somehow come home with like an action figure.
Probably, yeah.
Like, dang it, Bruce. But no, that's really cool. The other thing I wanted to ask, as you were mentioning, some of the big names, like, well, you mentioned wrestling, but also like Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers. I assume, but I want to ask, were you watching a lot of the shows, the animation, the cartoons, the everything that basically tied into this, or was it just the actual collection of action figures?
So I grew up in the 80s, and we were watching a lot of TV back then. So I was very into like Power Rangers show. I think I had loved Power Rangers before I even bought any of the action figures. So that, and same with Ninja Turtles. I definitely remember sitting there in front of the TV with a bowl of cereal watching all those shows. X-Men, that's how I knew about X-Men.
That's right.
I actually did have some X-Men books growing up. And I don't remember the comics as much as I remember the toys for whatever reason. I don't know why, but I definitely had Spawn. I had X-Men. I had Amazing Spider-Man. Those were my favorite. And that kind of transcended into how I built my collection now. Like, I'm working on a Spawn run of the books that I remember. Like, if I see one and it like sparks that, like, I definitely had that book, I'll pick it up. Same with ASM, same with X-Men. I'm working on the Chris Claremont run right now, kind of slowly, you know.
Love
Comics
it, man.
is
It's
like
my favorite.
Yeah, comics is not like a primary collectible, but
Sure. Yeah. It's as long as you dipped your toe into it, man, and you know, it all, like I said, all goes hand in hand at this point. You
it
know, all the
does,
different,
yeah.
things that you mentioned. Quick hello to my man Matt and Clemson in the chat. What is going on, brother? Good to see you. I also saw Hall. Yeah, great question here. He says, I'd be interested to know what Bruce's most personal prized action figure is, and if there's an action figure grail he'd still like to obtain one day.
Yeah, that's a loaded question. I don't have a prized one. I have a couple grails that I really like from all different kinds of lines. So like Star Wars, I have one that I'll show in a little bit. It's
I
kind
was
of
just
like
say, if you want to show now, if it
oh
kind of
yeah,
ties right
yeah,
into
yeah,
it, yeah, throw it up there, man.
So there is
Let
a
me blow you up
particular yeah, sure. There is a particular figure in the Star Wars line that everybody knows, and I mean, the minute you see it, you're gonna know about it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is called the Blue Snaggletooth.
Ooh.
The grail by many Star Wars collectors, particular for the condition. This one's not in the best condition. It's got some rubs on the boots and stuff like that. But I acquired this a couple years ago. I've had a couple of them, but this is the one that stuck around. And this is actually, this was made by Kenner. Okay. This was made by Kenner. They were a rival of Mattel. But this action figure was actually one of the only figures that it wasn't supposed to be made this way. So it's kind of like
an error.
Yeah, like an error by the manufacturer. So when Star Wars came out in the 70s, they were trying to come out with these toys and go along with the movies. And when the movie came out, they got the figure wrong. And it was actually supposed to look like this. I have them in a bag. But
Okay, yeah.
this is called Snaggletooth. It's the red version of this guy. This is called the Blue Snaggletooth, and this one's called the Red Snaggletooth.
Wow.
So this is actually what it's supposed to look like in the movie. Okay.
Oh, okay.
A movie equivalent version of this character. And they came out with this one early in a particular set called the Cantina set. It was only released by Sears. You can only buy it at Sears.
Wow.
And it had, I believe, 4 different action figures in the set. And they realized after they put out the set that they mixed up the character, and he was supposed to look like this, shorter and red.
Wow.
See how like the face kind of looks the same?
Yeah, yeah.
One's gray, but one's like flesh tone.
Yeah, right. So they blend. It's like they blended 2 characters together by accident.
Kind of. They gave them like disco boots and, you know, disco boots for the 70s. But this one on the right is about $400. This one right here is about 10.
Oh my God.
There's a big price comparison there.
Yeah.
And you know, this one only came out in that Sears collection, so you can only get it when you bought that Sears exclusive set.
Dang.
Yeah.
Now you bought that individually, or did you have the whole set, or was that something that you?
I actually traded for this one back a couple years ago, but just this one. So I don't actually have the Cantina set. I mean, maybe someday I'll get it. I have the different characters from that set, but I don't actually have like the set that it was a play set. So it came with like a backdrop and a couple different characters that you can interact with that actual set.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, like
that's really cool.
graded examples of this are in the thousands. Bagged versions of this are in the thousands. So this is it's actually a pretty big deal in this.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Do you know the year or when that was that it was released?
This one came out in 1979, I believe.
Whoa.
There's on the back.
That's cool.
So they all have markings on the back. And that's how you could tell if it's authentic. Like people will actually try to make reproductions of this and sell it on the market as an original figure when it's actually not.
Oh, wow.
So you have to like keep up with that stuff. It's kind of like with comics, like not so much reproduction, but like color touch and stuff like that. Like, like people will actually like touch up right here with a silver Sharpie or something, and
make it look cleaner.
Touch up like the hands and the boots, and try to pass it off as authentic, but really it's been
damaged,
touched, So that'll bring down the value quite a bit. So to find one in this condition, it's pretty hard to get. A lot of collectors, will aim for this figure when they're trying to build their collection. So I'm happy to have them.
So it's well known. Yeah. So like right now, if I went on eBay, is that something I would probably be able to find?
Yeah. There's I haven't not been able to find anything that I want to buy on eBay. It's like, it's whether or not you want to spend the money, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So, they're readily available. It's not particularly rare, but as far as like somebody that's casually collecting, they probably wouldn't want to add it to their collection. But yeah,
that's cool.
It's pretty cool.
That's awesome, dude. I learning so much just from that little segment right there, dude. It's a whole, like I said before, it's a whole different new world to me. So I never even thought. And thanks for the question, Hall. Yeah, that's I never would even think that like question. Like grails and obviously expensive to like it just never even like something I considered. So for you to show the two different ones and be like it's $10, it's $400, it's pretty wild. Yeah. I mean it's very much like you said, very much like comics in a lot of ways. So
this one's also complete. It has this little weapon right here, this little gun.
Oh, I noticed that. Yeah.
Loose. So it's kind of the same with comics. Like, you got some pages missing. Obviously, it's going to decrease the value or whatever.
Oh, right. Or staples are missing or popping.
Yeah. It's kind of comparable. But either way, I mean, complete, this guy is about $25 maybe. I don't even know. But this is the one that you want. This is the one that, like I said, it was the only Kenner Star Wars like error that they made. They only made two. So this one was the only figure that was an error, but then they got some names mixed up on some certain characters, which was an error. But yeah, this was not movie. This wasn't, to go along with the movie. This one was, so pretty wild.
Yeah, that's awesome. Quick hello in the chat to my man Eric, SideQuest Comics. What's going on, Eric?
What's up, Eric?
Good to see you, my friend. And also scrolling through, there's Ryan, Colossus Collector in the house. Ryan was just talking about you earlier.
What's up, Brian?
Let's see. SideQuest says I don't have that, and I was alive in the Kenner Star Wars Prime. Huh? And he doesn't have it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. Eric has a lot of toys as well.
Yeah. So Eric, this only came in the Cantina set by Sears. You can only get this in the Sears set. So it's probably why you didn't see it. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was never on a card back. It was only in this one particular set that you could buy.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Who would have thought Sears? Right. Ryan says, I hope it wasn't negative. Like, yeah, no, it was all, it was all in good. It was all in good.
I was telling them how I influenced you to buy an action figure when we were at Terrificon.
Yes. Yeah. There it is. So speaking of Terrificon, let's talk a little bit about Comic Cons and your experience with them. And actually, even before that, I want to ask now, as we dive in a little more with toys, have you gone to? I assume there's like toy cons, very similar to Comic Cons. Were you going to a lot of those prior to getting into comics and stuff? When just growing up at all, or you mentioned your dad obviously was very into it. So, were you guys hitting up a lot of shows and stuff like that, or is that something that you never got into?
So where I live right now isn't originally where I'm from. I moved here in 2009. But when I did live, back in Connecticut is where I was from, which is kind of funny because Terrificon was in Connecticut.
Yeah.
I had been to Mohegan Sun before I went to Terrificon, so it was kind of cool. But
Right.
growing up with my dad, we definitely went to a lot of shows. And then once I got older, like I said, I was out of that whole collecting thing, so I stopped going to them. And ever since I moved up here, I haven't been to any shows. Terrificon was the biggest Comic-Con I've been to in my adult life.
Wow.
And before that was Bangor Comic-Con. I went the year before, first time there, and that was fun. It was a very small event, but it was my first Comic-Con going
So cool.
myself, and I went alone. So, not as fun, but I wanted to experience it. I wanted to get out there and see what it was all about. And I had a lot of fun. I mean, even being by myself. But Terrificon was a whole different beast. I mean, that was just trip of a lifetime. Like, I can't. Anybody that missed out on that, I'm sorry for watching, but that was a hell of a time.
Yeah, dude. Like, I just think of how you're comparing these two events that you've gone to, and how black and white the difference is.
Yeah,
it's just like
going to my first con alone. I'm like looking down at my phone. Like, I was talking to Brandon at the time. I was texting him and telling him what I picked up, but it wasn't the same as being around a group like we were.
Yeah,
just like, hey, I got this, and man, I got this, and then we get on streams at night, and then we go out to the bar, and it's wild.
Perfection all the way through. Yeah,
it was.
Yeah. So yeah, we were talking earlier about the first time you and I had met, which was the first day. I mean, technically, it was a Thursday or Friday.
It was Thursday, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, like before, and you guys were you guys were eating. It was you, Ryan, Brandon, and the rest of the crew were there at one of the sports bars there. And I had walked by you guys. Not at first, I didn't realize, or I missed you. I just missed you guys. I don't know how I walked by you guys, but I was with Kyle, Leroy, and my wife was there as well. So we were a couple tables down from you guys, and then I think Ryan. Or one of you guys that initially texted me, I think it was Ryan at first, just saying like, "Hey, buddy, turn around" or whatever. And
I was like, "I'm gonna go up to him. I'm gonna say hi." So
yeah, dude. Yeah, man, and like it's cool. We're talking about like, especially for for you, like first like big Comic-Con type thing. I mean, that high that you guys had this first time around. I mean, I have it every year now, but like. Even for me, like the first time I had gone, I only went. I mean, 2001 was my first time going to Terrificon. That was my first time.
Oh wow!
So yeah. Woo. So like, but so to me, I feel like it's still very new. Like I feel like I went and sure enough, I ran into a ton of people very similar to what you guys experienced. So like that for me, I was like sold. I'm like, yep, I'm going to go to Terrificon every single year from this day forward. And I've gone to other Comic-Cons even before the pandemic. That was like the first one I went to after the world kind of opened back up again. So I had gone to a few before that, but then it all shut down. So when I went to that one, I had that experience, and now so it's so cool from my perspective to see you guys and hear you guys talk about this like amazing trip, and I'm like, yeah, I've been saying, like I want to be like, I experienced that like 4 years ago, and I'm still experiencing it every time. Like it's so cool. Yeah. So it just like made me so happy to see how happy you guys were with everything, and like, and again, for anybody who hasn't experienced it yet, you too will. You'll see what we're talking about when you go.
And I want to touch on something. I was really coming out of my shell when I went to that. Like,
oh, okay.
I might not seem like it, and I know some people will relate to this when they're watching this stream. Like, I am a very kind of homebody-ish person. Like, okay. I traveled to somebody's house that I didn't even know, stayed over, went down to Terrificon with this person that I didn't even know, and met all these people that I'd never met in my life. Like that was really like a big stepping point for me, like really like coming out. Like, yeah, I had to like go over it in my head. Like, do I really want to do this? Like
sure.
It gave me a lot of anxiety, but I had so much fun. So if you were ever in doubt, just shut your eyes and go. Like
Just go.
seriously, it's such a fun time being around like-minded people, being around people that just love the hobby. You know, not just comics, it's everything, collectibles.
Yep.
You know, it was
Yeah.
really, it was,
Everything. I mean,
yeah,
we were even talking, and one thing I wanted to bring up too, and yes, Ryan absolutely agreed, was we were talking about Magic the Gathering, you and I. I know that we
yes,
were both dabbled in that for a while
yeah,
when we were waiting on Chris Claremont line. I'll never forget that, just
yeah,
us talking about it, and I'm like, oh shoot, like I started naming like the deck that I play with and all this other stuff. And you're
yes,
familiar with all of it. I'm
yeah,
like, oh, that's
yeah,
so cool.
yeah,
But you're like, this show had everything. You weren't around at that moment later. I think I told you I ended up playing a few games with one of my friends that were also
yes,
there. We
yeah,
were planning it for a while. Me
yeah.
and this guy Michael, Sove Collector, and we finally were able to play for the first time. But yeah, I remember seeing next time you come, like we're playing, we got to play.
Yeah, that was really cool. Like I remember you telling me about that. You always forgot your deck or whatever it was that
Yes,
you wanted to
yeah.
play with, so you finally brought them. I think I
Yep.
remember you telling me that at the bar when we
Yep.
were.
Yeah,
And that
because
was
he
the
and
other
I.
cool thing was like
Yeah.
you could be at this con all day and like hang out with your buddies, and then later at night there's a whole nother nightlife.
Yes,
We
dude.
were up till like what, 3 a.m. sometimes.
Yes,
Like it was wild.
some of us, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of us winning money, others, not so
Yeah.
much.
Betting it, whatever.
Yeah. You guys hitting up the cigar bar
Yes.
for a couple nights in a row,
Yeah.
like that. That was cool. I wish I had joined you guys for that. I'm not a big cigar guy, but I mean, I definitely I've dabbled once in a while. But
Oh yeah,
next time
just to
I
even
definitely
be in
will.
there, it was cool. That was all Ryan's idea. Kudos
Yeah,
to Ryan. Fun time.
yeah.
Loved it.
There it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I again, just a cool experience to meet you in person, and again, share the experience that we had, even just like we were talking about before, just standing online at Claremont like that. I remember what was it, the four of us, we had lunch money. Mike was up a little bit ahead of us. He was
Yep.
online just a little before us, and just talking to everybody. And so definitely good times. I mean, look, you guys got to meet, have breakfast. You were with the crew with Walt Simonson, right? For breakfast and all that
Yes,
stuff.
I was. Yeah.
So that's the other cool thing too, right? It's like you're able to accidentally bump into these
Yeah.
creators off the, during the time that the con's not open even.
I don't know how all cons are like. Like I know that some of the guys are going to Heroes Con. I don't know if you are.
Mm.
Are you going to Heroes?
I'm not this year. No,
Okay.
I haven't gone.
I know
yet either,
I know Ryan is going to Heroes Con, but I wonder if
yeah.
it's going to be that kind of that same thing, because
Yeah.
when you're at Mohegan, it's just like one resort. Like everything you need is right there, right?
Yeah.
You have food, you have entertainment, you have the con, you got your.
You could walk back to your room,
Yeah, it's just it's amazing. So like you're bound to meet these celebrities. Like you're bound to just run into them, and
Yep.
Walt was just so nice, so chill, so cool. Like,
Totally.
Yeah.
I had seen Scotty Young at breakfast the day before, or really, I guess this was the Friday, that first day that it kicked off. I remember, but he was sitting at like a bar area and eating just by himself, and he had his earpods in. I didn't want to like bother him, but I remember like he looked. We caught eye for like a second, and I'm like, oh, is he looking at me? Should I say something? And I'm like, yeah, no. He's like, he's by himself. I don't want to.
We saw the actor from Cobra Kai. Don't remember his name off the top.
I know you're talking about though.
Right, but we saw him at the cigar bar, and he was
nice.
chatting it up with some people, and then some other people were like trying to get his autograph, and and I don't know if it was like his security guard or whatever. It was like, he's off the clock, he's not signing right now.
Right.
But it was just really cool, like
unique. Yeah, I think for and Ryan was mentioned that he's going to Heroes Con. Yeah, I've always heard great things. If there is one Comic Con that I heard that compares to anywhere close to Terrificon, it's Heroes Con, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that everybody's willing to travel even from the West Coast and come in. I do wonder, and Ryan and others can tell us when they get back, but I do wonder, to your point, Bruce, if at the end of the night, everybody goes off to their hotels again. So that to me makes me think it's still not exactly as perfect as Terrificon, but I'm sure it's still wonderful. Like I'm sure it's still like a really, really great time. So But yeah, and Ryan says, yeah, he's making that an every year thing for himself. Bruce, I know you had just gotten, a second child and all, but do you think Terrificon could be a possibility in the next couple of years or so?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Next year, baby.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Yes.
Cool.
I'm taking a break this year because
fair.
It's all coming up really quick, and my son is still really young, and I get it. Like, my wife
Totally.
need me home to help out and all that stuff, and it took a lot of pressure to convince her to be able to go to Terrificon, and finally she gave her graces and was cool with me going. But next year, when they're both old enough, I think I'll be able to do it.
Awesome.
I don't think there would be an excuse not to go.
Right. Hey, look, I mean, even if you made it a thing every other year or every third year or something, like, at least you knew,
that's
you
what I'm going to try to do, even take a break from my wallet too, just.
Oh yeah. that I could actually use a break.
I would like to go to a toy convention eventually. There's a couple of people that I talk to on the daily basis that would love to go to one.
Yeah.
Likewise. So, that could be a possibility in the future, but Terrificon had everything. Like, it had everything I was looking for. It had comics.
Yep.
Like I said, nightlife. The only thing I would do differently was, if I'm going to go with a group, I want everybody to be on the same level, because this whole switching elevator thing.
It did get a little crazy. Yeah.
It was pain sometimes.
Well, and the other thing was, I mean, at least we were in the right tower. There's the other tower where you technically could have been, I mean, it's closer to the convention center, but you could have been in another tower, which also would factor in a little bit. I mean, it's not like at least you don't got to get in a car or anything, but but yeah, there definitely was a little, and look, we were hanging out 3 Men in the Basement doing their live stream they do every year. And that was a little tricky too, trying to get somebody to, get you to that. I didn't even have a key to go to that tower, so they had to send Chinmo down or somebody down to come get me, and vice versa. And that's just kind of how it is. Exactly. It all works out. As long as they don't get kicked out. They did get kicked out the one time, not kicked out, but they got the show. I think Kibosh one of the times a few years ago. But otherwise, they do it every year, and they usually, obviously, you saw, we don't really cause any trouble or anything like that.
No, it was fun.
Yeah, for sure. Quick hello to Ian and Becca comments in the chat. What's going on? Eric said, I so wouldn't have the guts to go up to Celebrity Creator. Yeah, I mean, it all depends on the context of the situation. I was in the elevator once going up. I was going in the elevator with Al Milgram, who is kind of a family friend, so it was not as new, but that was cool. And then the other time I was going down with Michael Rooker from Guardians of the Galaxy and all that, and he and I literally the only two in the elevator. So I had to say something. So I just looked. I was very quiet. It was in the morning. It was early, and I'm saying, I'm like, Mr. Rooker, I looked at him once. I looked back down on the floor, looked at him again. I'm like, Mr. Rooker, big fan, good to see you, He's like, oh, thanks, man. Thanks. he was cool, But yeah, Eric, to your point, I get it, man. I don't, these are regular people, so you don't necessarily feel weird sometimes.
That's how I think of it. They're just regular people like Walt. I was just no big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody else was losing their crap over it. And I get it. It's a big deal.
But, yeah. You're still
trying to keep it chill, then if they're the kind of person, like you said, they got their headphones in and they just don't want to be bothered, then it's a different thing. But
read the room, right? It's all right, I get it. Or if they're with people, they're mid conversation or whatever. I won't interrupt. Eric says, C2E2. Yeah, Eric, I definitely want to get back out to C2E2 at some point. That is on my list. I had gone in 2022, and that's another one I would say is very close to Terrificon in that because it's in the city, so you're still close in afterwards. A lot of people are going out to different dinners and bars, and I remember running into other people when we went out to different bars and stuff like that, all within a mile radius of the convention center or whatever. So there's definitely a lot to do at that one. That's in Chicago. So Eric, I'll hopefully make it up at some point. Ryan too says he's going to try to make that one. All right, so Bruce, let's talk a little bit about for as far as comics go. I always like to ask my guests, bring on a comic, something that means something special to you that you want to show. So do you have something with you there that you want to show off?
I do. So a little background story. So when I started getting into comics, I shopped on Whatnot. That was like my first avenue into comics. Like I said earlier in the stream, Brandon told me about comics. He said you should get into it. There's this awesome platform. You could watch all these live shows and all that. And there's always this one book that I would see all the time. And this is the kind of book that no matter where you go, you're going to see it. No matter if you go to a con, you go to a bigger con, you go to a smaller con, no matter where, you can't escape it. It's always there. So that book is.
Oh yeah, dude. Yep. 300.
I mean, this.
Oh yeah.
This could be the face of comics. Really could. And I'm not trying to take away from the vintage stuff, like
like
FF1,
Kirby or
all
the icon,
no,
but you're right. This is absolutely this is iconic. This is a cover that as you said, you see everywhere.
Yeah, you see it everywhere. And this was the one book that I remember seeing on these Whatnot streams and all that, and I was like, I'll never own that book. It's way too expensive. And I got a great deal on this.
Oh yeah.
Well, I won't tell how much I paid, but
yeah.
I got a really good deal, and I'm really, really happy to have it. And it's probably going to be, if I were to get rid of every slab book that I own, this one would probably be the one that I would keep.
The keeper. Yeah, I love that, man. It's a beautiful grade, a beautiful, classic McFarlane, and like nice newsstand too, which for that time period. So it's funny that you show that book and you talk about it the way you do, because for me, when I first getting into comics, which was only 6.5 years ago for me, I went at one of the first runs that I went after as far as trying to collect. When I learned the idea of collecting a run, like it sounded so fun and cool. It was the Todd McFarlane Amazing Spider-Man run. It was this run starting with 298. It went from 298 to 316, I think, 318, something like that, or maybe it went to the 20s, 320 something. But I wanted to collect that book or those books, but newsstand only. So that was like my goal. And it didn't need to be graded. Just all of them were raw. And I ended up completing it in like, it was probably like a good 2.5, maybe 3 years, like over that time. I mean, it's like 18 books altogether, but I was still, I was taking my time. I wanted to get a copy I knew I was going to be happy with for every single one. And for some, I would find it, but then it was a direct edition. So we were like, I'm waiting for the newsstand version. So for you to hold that up, man, and a 7.0, that is a very nice grade for that book. So congrats on that, dude.
Thank you. The 98 can go for thousands, but I'm really happy with the way this book.
Absolutely.
And to touch on your newsstand thing, that was kind of what I was going for. Like if I'm gonna buy a book from the Bronze Age, I want it to be newsstand. Nothing against direct. I find it's a little bit more rare, and the fact that you can go and you can pick this up on the newsstand and bring it home with you. You could go to your local grocery store, pharmacy, or wherever you bought books, and bring it home. It definitely adds a different aspect to it.
Has a good adds an addition to like the story, as far as the comic itself goes. Quick hello to Tony Old Wolf 65. What's going on, my friend? Good to see you. Chris says he loves that book. It says he still needs a copy. Truly iconic indeed, for sure. Let's see. Chris says McFarlane drew sweet artwork in the direct edition boxes too. That's a good point. Yeah, those the Spidey heads. He did do some really cool. That was unique for sure, and especially for that time, because I feel like no one was really doing that, and it was like the typical Spidey head or whatever. So I think at this point I wouldn't mind having like two sets of everything. would be cool. Maybe go down that road at some point. I know it can get pretty expensive, but yeah, no, dude, that's a great book, man. And a keeper for sure, as you mentioned.
I wanted to throw up ASM. Oh man, I'm blanking on the issue number, but the one that I bought at Terrificon, the other black suit Spider-Man book, the one where he's swinging in front of the towers with
the one. It was right around this time too. I don't know what number that is actually. Amazing Spider-Man. Oh no, what? Or no, it was Spectacular. Was it Spectacular?
No, it was Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, Amazing Spider-Man. I know which one you're talking about.
Right. I wanted to show that book because it is special to me, because I did grab it at Terrificon, and that was the book that I wanted.
Is it
252. Okay,
is
thank
it
you,
yeah,
thank you, Chris.
yeah.
I wanted to show that book because that was one that I really wanted to get myself while I was on my trip to Terrificon, and I obtained that goal. But I think just, you know, the way that you were discussing it, like what's more, you know, special to you and iconic was this, just because of the story. Like, I didn't think I was ever going to own this book, and here I am, I have it. And, you know, like, I've owned big books like, you know, Hulk 181 and stuff like that, but this one was just one that was like, during the time when I was getting into comics, I was like, nah, that's way too out of reach. So
It's funny because I mean I totally get that. And I felt the same way when you see all these big books, people have certain things, and like especially when I was first getting into it, you're just like, man, like that, you know, how I would never be able to like just buy that, you know, straight up or
right.
whatever. But you find yourself in scenarios eventually as you know what it is. It's like I remember buying my first like $30 book, and I think it was like a She-Hulk #1.
Yeah,
And
I have it.
yeah, and that was at the time it was like $30. I think like $35 is that
Yeah.
pounds, which is like a real good bar. I actually sent that in at some point for CGC. It came back like a 9.6, so it was like a good deal. But I remember even that like $35 for a comic was like,
yeah,
like, you know, I was sleeping on the couch. I don't know. My wife, I don't know. Like, I was spending that kind of money, you know, and that's $35. Now I look back and I know how much I've spent on comics, and it's way more money than that. It's just like, it's just, you know, once you break that one, you know, you get to $100, you're like, all right, I could spend $100 on a comic book. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, that one's 200. It's like buying two $100. I could buy that $200 book. And then little by little, you go down the rabbit hole.
Right. And once you get to the uncomfortable point of like paying for the Hulk 181,
Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't know, that definitely changed my perspective.
Yeah.
On comics after that. Like,
yeah,
I was no longer gonna collect like really expensive books and grade collect and anything like that. Like, I just wanted to like kind of just take a break for a little bit and focus on something else, and then come back to it and be like, all right, you know, like, what do I want my collection to be like?
Yep.
So now, like, I've been buying X-Men books for my run in John Byrne signatures. I have 3 now. I mean,
yeah. Whoa, dang, dude! I only have 1. Man, it's so hard to find those. It's annoying. It's annoying because he doesn't do shows, so it's like, like you can't, you know.
Yeah. So,
but that's
been
really
kind
cool.
of my thing recently.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And specifically John Byrne, that run, like that portion of X-Men, or even after John.
Oh yeah, after John.
Okay, everything.
The Chris Claremont run, but I've been picking up John Byrne signatures when I can.
Got you.
When I find them. I mean, I got my 3rd one last month. Dan had shared it in a group that we're in. He passed on it, so I grabbed it. And
nice.
Yeah.
Yep. Very cool. I wanted to, and Eric says, I'm not a Spidey guy, but 252 is on my list. Yeah, pretty sweet, iconic book. Yeah, for sure. I wanted to ask too, with that book that you were showing, you know, 300, other than the story and everything else, like, is there, is Spider-Man like your #1 as far as characters go, or is Venom, does Venom play a role in that, or is it or not at all? Is it just because of the book of what it is and what it represents?
Spider-Man definitely has been and always will be my #1 guy.
Okay, cool.
I love Wolverine as well, but Spider-Man is definitely my dude. So
nice.
You know, just to have this kind of rounds it off for me. I don't know what it is. Like, there's people out there that will shoot for the moon and want to get like an ASM1 and AF15 and stuff like that. I think those are just way too out of my reach as far as anything that I want to spend. But Spider-Man was definitely and is still one of my favorite characters, and I think this is the best cover out of the 3 big. You know, you got Secret Wars 8, you got 252, and then you got this one. I think this is the best one.
Yeah. So. Very cool. Awesome, man. One other thing, I want to do some rapid fire questions with you, and I want to talk about some other aspects, but before we jump into that, I always like to ask, if you could give one piece of advice to somebody new that's just getting into collecting comics, what comes to mind for you? And it could be anything, not whatever angle or aspect we could that as far as, I just feel like this is a hobby that a lot of people get overwhelmed with, and especially new. Like if you're coming in, there's so many stories, so many artists, so many writers, so many iconic runs to read and collect. We talk about prices and money and keys. But what comes to you if someone new is just like, hey Bruce, I'm thinking about getting into comics, what would you tell them?
Do your research. Definitely take the time to do the research. Definitely familiarize yourself with what are the popular books, what are the best runs to read. I wish I did a little bit more research in homework when I got into comics. I think I jumped in it a little bit too fast.
Okay.
And I was wasting money on things that I didn't really need for my collection. Before you spend any money, definitely you want to double, triple, quadruple check with yourself. Like, hey, is something that I really want? It's a hobby to easily get lost in. You get the spending bug where you're just dishing out money all the time.
It's true.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you want to do. I can't speak to that because that's how I am. But definitely do your research. Get with a good group of people like we have, to discuss like different sellers and different runs and find what you love and kind of stick with that for a bit, and things will branch off.
It's true.
There's no real wrong way to collect as long as you're doing what you love.
100%, man.
Pretty much it.
Well said. Well said. I couldn't agree more. And I think as you mentioned, like research is probably very close to the number one thing.
Step
if
one,
not, like you got to know what you're buying. Yeah, and you want to make sure you're not buying something fake. I mean, think about your toy example. You got to make sure if you told me to go buy that figure, and I went and didn't really look at the title or what did he call it? Oh yeah. Oh, here it is. And then I just show you this like red figure. I'm like, yeah, I paid, $300, $400 for this thing. You'd be like, Justin, dude.
Yeah. You definitely want to do your research. You want to familiarize yourself with it. Yeah. You don't want to get a bad burn. I mean, it happens, right?
Sure.
Over the years, it's bound to happen, and you live and learn, and there's nothing wrong with that. I know many people that are afraid to start collecting things because they're afraid to get ripped off or get something that's, not fake authentic or whatever it is. But you got to take those risks.
It's true. It's true. Like you said, if you can kind of build a community or a group of friends that kind of at least help you with that, you definitely could run ideas by each other and bounce different thoughts back and forth. So no, I love that, man. I love that. Thanks for the advice.
No problem.
Let's jump into some rapid fire before we kind of wrap up here. And again, appreciate everybody who's tuning in right now, or if you're watching the replay, thank you so much. Make sure you smash the like button if you haven't already, and also take a moment to make sure you are following Bruce. I put all his information in the description below. So Bruce, let's talk a little bit about one of my favorite questions I always like to ask right off the bat is, if you could have one superpower, what would that superpower be?
Oh man, that's tough. I don't know what it is just coming to mind right now, but like bursting into flames. I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Like the Phoenix right there.
Yeah, the Phoenix. Get into a bad accident and all of a sudden you're the Phoenix.
Bruce the Phoenix. Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, hey, dude, you could do so much with that. I mean, obviously flying comes with that, right?
Yeah.
Plus you automatically have like your pick actually kind of covers like a lot of different things at once if we were going with the Phoenix. Because you could just like travel to other planets and
people would say superhuman strength and stuff like that, but you're grounded, right? Like you said, if you're flying and you're a huge bird like a phoenix, you just fly wherever you want.
All that gas you'd be saving, all that money you'd be saving. Take your kids up in the sky, they'd have fun, right? See the world from a different angle. That's awesome. Matt's throwing this one in here early. He says, and is Bruce gonna choose pizza or cake?
Pizza.
There it
is. Italian, man.
There it is, man.
It's gotta be the pizza. Gotta be the pizza.
He is correct. He is correct. Let's see. Matt says, been driving through this whole episode so far, so I'm going to catch up with everything at once. ASM 300, 252. Heck yes. Heroes Con is going to be my first real con experience, and I can't wait. That's awesome. Yeah, Matt's got a lot of driving ahead of him. So, Matt, thanks for listening in. Be safe travels. But yeah, that is really cool.
It's gonna have a lot of.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, at Heroes Con for sure. Christopher says teleportation. Yeah, that's another great one. Again, also to save money on gas, you could totally save time too. Eric keeps saying this, and Eric, what was your pick again? Did Eric maybe Eric said flight? I think he said flight. He says another pick better than mine. And Matt says you are correct, Bruce, with the pizza. All right, let's talk about so you mentioned X-Men. I know you're collecting the Claremont stuff, but I always like to put this out there for any X-Men fan. Are you if you had to choose one team of X-Men, do you prefer the original team, the OG team, or the Claremont newer team that had come along afterwards? Claremont, yeah. So, see, another correct answer.
I will boldly say that the Claremont X-Men are the classic versus the actual classic.
I think many people would agree with you there.
Yeah, they're the face of X-Men.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. If you don't have Storm there, Colossus, some of the young guys, it's just not.
Because I think when X-Men came out, Fantastic Four and stuff like that were kind of really big then. So like X-Men wasn't as big as those were, but then you got later in Chris Claremont started writing X-Men. The story is really good, and the characters were just phenomenal.
Yep.
So
agreed. Matt says Bruce is killing it. Chris says Justin serving us some soft toss pitches with these questions. They can't. They're well. Some of these can be a little tricky. All right, let's. One thing we didn't really talk a lot about, Bruce, is DC Comics.
Okay.
Now I know I had introduced you to a little bit to the Nightwing, Tom Taylor run, some of my favorite recent years to read as far as comics go. Do you, if you had to pick a character, who's your favorite DC character?
I want to joke and say Lobo because that is JP's favorite character.
Yeah.
Batman.
Yeah.
What about I definitely love my Batman. I got nothing wrong against DC, even though I am a Marvel guy through and through. I got the Marvel ring right here.
Stick. I love it.
I love Marvel, and I'm always going to be a Marvel guy, but DC I can't really hit on because they got Batman, and even though he doesn't have any superpowers, he's still really cool. He's got some really good storylines and some awesome books, and awesome art, so.
Yep, agreed. So switch back to Marvel for a second. Who's your favorite? Because we know Spider-Man is your favorite superhero. Who's your favorite Marvel villain?
Marvel villain, Green Goblin.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
Not just because of Spider-Man. I think I like Green Goblin more than Spider-Man.
Yeah? Oh, cool.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know what it is, like the Halloween theme and throwing pumpkins and.
Yeah. It's like a dark, wicked kind of. Goblin dude, and the fact that he cruises on, the thing.
The glider.
Yeah. The glider. Yeah. Yep. So it's a cool idea overall for his character.
Yeah.
When as you're talking about this stuff, it makes me think of the movies and stuff, but it leads me to the question I always like to ask too. What's your favorite comic book based movie of all time? Like it could be old stuff Endgame. Love it, man. Love it.
Yeah, I remember seeing that in theaters, and I had to sit there for a minute with my mouth open when it was over. I was like,
yeah, dude.
I went back to see it 3 times.
Yes, hell yeah, dude.
I'm probably gonna watch it again tomorrow.
Yes, you should. You absolutely should.
I love that movie.
It was just on here. I feel like it's always like on some channel. But you're right, man. I mean, obviously a lot of them I could just put on. But Endgame, Infinity Wars, like the two of those, like a lot of times they play them back to back, which is cool. Yeah. And to just know that was kind of like one big movie in a way.
Right. It makes me anxious for the future. I mean, they got a lot of really killer stuff coming out. I really
Oh
hope
yeah,
they don't kill it like
I
in a
know.
bad
Same.
way, but
Yep.
they can
Yeah.
make something like Endgame again, man, that'd just bring everything right back.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as long as they space it out and give themselves time, because people forget Endgame was only so great because it was 10 plus years of
Hmm.
content that built up to this
Right.
one, moment. So I think to get something of that level again, you're gonna need years to kind of pass by. So,
Yeah.
but you're right. There's a lot of good stuff, that looks like it's
Yeah.
coming out. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the future of that.
Mm.
Ryan says not Magneto. Not Magneto for your favorite villain? No?
Oh yeah.
No?
Funny, funny.
Uh,
Okay, maybe Magneto.
yeah, yeah. Chris says Doom, baby. Yeah, Doom's awesome too.
Yeah.
Eric says no love ever for Aquaman. Yeah, sorry,
I
SideQuest.
I actually do like Aquaman though.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I do like Aquaman.
I'm starting to like I'm reading the new stuff right now, and that's kind of gotten my attention a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm a Namor guy, and even that's newer to me, but I mean
I like the
I'm
guys that swim underwater.
Yeah, me too. Oh, me too. Me too. Because a lot
Me
of times,
too.
like their story, like Namor, especially, his stories are dark. A lot of he kind of plays the villain sometimes, he plays the
Yeah.
hero sometimes. So I, definitely reading a lot more Namor right now.
I think I like Aquaman more of an action figure than an
Ooh,
actual character,
okay, I
like in
can
a
see that.
comic.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
don't know why. I just
Yep.
do.
Yep. I dig it. Um, Eric says that's my conflict. I like both Fishman. Yeah. No, they're both great. Matt says I'm pro Aquaman with you, Eric, but I'm also Team Namor too. Yeah. See,
Yeah.
there it is. Oh yeah, Chris was saying he's only Namor. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm with you there too, Chris. All right, let's see a few more rapid fire questions here before we wrap it up. Let's see. Oh, we were talking about Magic the Gathering.
Yes.
What was your or what it, even now? What comes to mind as far as your favorite color goes out of the choices of Magic the Gathering?
Oh, blue black all the way.
Oh, nice. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't I couldn't remember if you were a blue player or not. I feel like either you are or you're anti-blue altogether.
Yeah.
Some people hate them. So
Blue requires a little bit more thinking because
yeah.
you got to
The
draw
control.
cards and
Yeah.
control and this
Yeah.
and that, and you're constantly drawing cards and trying to set up combos. And
Yeah.
so blue requires a little bit more thinking versus like green and red is just like aggro,
Just
like
straightforward.
stop you in the face or burn
Right.
death,
Yeah, it's true. It can get a little repetitive, a little boring after a while. Playing red,
Yeah.
things like that. That's cool. Let's see. We were talking about movies before. Let's talk a little bit about music. Are you a big music fan? And if you are, what's your favorite genre? And do you have a favorite like band or or artist or anything like that comes to mind?
I really like alternative and rock mostly. I do like some hip hop. Ryan's gonna poke fun at me that Big L is my favorite rapper of all time, but I don't know. Do you know who Big L is?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, really?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Oh man, I remember talking about him to Ryan and Rohan, and they ripped me so bad.
Oh,
they're like, dude, you're the Big L. And I was like, oh, I was like, screw you guys.
Oh, that's brutal.
But yeah, no, I love rock. I love Metallica, Iron Maiden, the
Nice.
classic like heavy metal. And then I do like some alternative, like Smashing Pumpkins and Stone Temple Pilots, and
oh, dude,
those are just some that come to mind. But
those are some of the best, man. My wife's a big Smashing Pumpkin fan.
Oh yeah,
Pearl Jam is another one.
Yep, that's a good one.
Just that whole era, and I'm with you. Yeah, like that's some of the best music came from that.
Even like classic rock, like Pink Floyd and Doors. I could listen to that stuff all day. I love music. I mean, I can't go a day without it, really.
Same. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah. I love that you're open to a lot of stuff, and it sounds like do you go to a lot of concerts, or have you gone, were you ever a big concert goer?
Yes. When I was in high school, and like I said, living in Connecticut where there was more to do, like I live in such a small town now, like there's nothing, but There is some concerts like down south from here that
Yeah.
I haven't been to a concert in years. Like I'm talking like probably 15 years now.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's been a while. Yeah.
But when I had went to concerts and did see bands, it was a lot of fun. Yep, Zeppelin. I agree.
Do you have a concert in mind that was like a great memory or one of your favorite concerts? Who was it?
Ozfest.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. I had never gotten the opportunity to go to Ozfest.
Ozfest 2001. It
Oh
was in
my God.
Hartford. Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
wild. And I remember being so dehydrated because bottles of water were like $6 in 2001.
That's crazy. Yeah,
Today with inflation, that's like $20.
Right. But you're like, I'm not drinking, just not gonna drink.
No, didn't eat, didn't drink, just was there for the time and the music. But
Yeah, dude. Oh man, I would have loved to have gone to one.
yeah, that was a killer time.
Yeah, very cool. I saw Chris said he's going to see Metallica in April in Syracuse.
Wow.
That's cool, Chris. I didn't know you. I didn't realize you were. Or I guess you got the Buffalo thing, so maybe you're up in Buffalo. But Syracuse, I go up to Syracuse once in a while for work. But yeah, it's cool. I've seen Metallica a couple times.
I got to see Iron Maiden and Ozzy Osbourne cut off their mics.
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds about right. It sounds about right. Oh, Ozzy. Let's see. Ryan says, why pay hundreds or thousands for a concert when I can buy comics or go to a con? Yeah, I mean
that is a good point.
Yeah, it's valid.
That is a good point.
Oh, Chris says he's in South Rochester. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I had grown up in Newburgh, New York, Chris. So I think Rochester was like 2 hours, maybe. Not that far. And I'm in North Jersey now, so not too far, but that's cool. Let's see. He said, try to talk the wife into Lenny Kravitz. That'd be cool to see Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would see Lenny Kravitz.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Small world for sure. There was something else. Ryan talking about Big L. Eric was talking. Oh, Eric had said earlier about Magic. He said, I love aggro decks in card games. Yeah. I mean, they're definitely like, they're fun to be able to like kick somebody's butt right off the bat and try to like end them within moments, you know. And Chris said we were talking Greek right now. He said he's never played that game before. It's a good game. Still going. I actually, Bruce, I this is perfect. I haven't. It's been a long time since I actually bought Magic cards.
Okay.
But I went to my LCS today, as usual, to get my comic books. And one of my buddies who works there, who also likes to play a lot of Magic, he knows my background in that, and that I used to play a lot, and I was a big fan of it. And he actually found 2 Merfolk cards for me and put them aside for me. And I said, I actually do need these. I don't own these. They're newer, and I just haven't bought any of the newer cards. And I saw them online, and I was like, oh man, like that card seems like so broken now. So it's I'll blow myself up here for a second. It is this card here. I bought 2 of these. They're $3 each.
Oh,
Harbinger of the Seas. Now this one says
that's
non-basic lands are islands.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
it's for 3
Island
mana.
walk, baby.
Yeah, dude, that, and you know, if you have any anything non-basic on your end, you can't cast anything. So it's just like, shuts you down completely. So I just thought it was cool. It's funny that I haven't bought Magic in a very long time, and I happen to be talking to you.
That's a good card. What's the casting cost on that?
It's 3 mana, 2 blue and a colorless, and it's a Merfolk.
Power and toughness.
So, and it's a 2/2.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's Merfolk. So typically, like most of mine, I don't even cast. I use this Ether Vial artifact that puts it into play, without anything. Yeah. So
I was playing that deck. It's funny. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no, dude. Please,
last time I played Magic, I was playing that deck in extended. I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
I was playing that at a tournament. Like
they got rid of that a while ago.
Yeah, they did. I don't know what they call it now. But...
Yeah, there's Frontier. So there's modern. There's modern and there's Frontier now as two different newer. They actually might still do another version of extended, but it's probably another name at that point.
Okay.
And then it's standard. They have standard still.
What about
limited?
no, vintage.
Yeah, there's vintage and legacy. Those are still around.
Okay.
Although they are definitely like a dying era and not as many people. I mean, legacy will always have an appreciation for, and of course vintage is just so loose because it's literally every card.
Right.
But obviously like from a collection standpoint, not a lot of people own these cards anymore.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's why. I mean, for me, I know I never got into vintage. But I always like the idea of it, like legacy too, like just like playing with old cards, just like
Mm-hmm.
when the game was more simpler, like back that, if you only played beta, alpha, beta, like that whole thing. I know some people do that. They like make proxies or whatever, but you just build decks out of the original base set and just
Oh yeah.
play,
Like
just play with
Alpha
that.
40.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got like
That's
Thunderbolt and all
hardcore,
that stuff.
man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's so basic and there's other great cards out there, but you can't use any of them. You're just using these.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so that's cool. Let's see a couple more here. We'll wrap up. I know we're a little over the hour. Let's see, scrolling through here. Where's my dude, we got to talk sports here for a second because I know
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of the hat you're wearing, but you're a great guy, so I'll let it go,
Boston, baby.
My buddy Tony, who was in the chat earlier, he's a big Boston fan as well.
Yeah.
Other than like what's your favorite sport, and who's your favorite team of that sport? If it's baseball, then it's Boston. But yeah, like what's your favorite sport?
Baseball.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love baseball. Growing up, I always played baseball. My dad was a big baseball fan.
Okay. Nice. Oh yeah, you collected cards too, right? You said.
Yeah. I still
Yeah.
kind of do. Like
Oh,
if
nice.
I see them out and about and they're a really good deal, then I'll pick them up. I still have some vintage cards, but anyways,
Nice.
baseball is my number one sport. Then probably hockey, football, then basketball.
All right. Nice. Yeah. Nice. I just went to a hockey game first in a while. I went to a Rangers game not too long ago.
That's fun.
Yeah, that was a blast. And it was from work. We had tickets that were like 10 rows back from the ice. It was really, really I mean, I don't follow it much, but like I was so into the game because the energy of the game is just so.
But the best thing about hockey is you're always inside and you're always drinking beer.
Yes, dude. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Yep. Yeah, that was a nice Friday night that when we went down. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm a big baseball fan now. I used to not be. I was just talking to Matt, who Matt leaves a comment and says another baseball guy. Yeah.
Baseball, man.
We were just talking baseball before, and like I was never into baseball before I met my wife. My wife's the one who got me into baseball because she's a diehard Yankee fan. She grew up with it. It's her family. Yep. Like it's part of their everything she's ever known as a kid growing up. So all New York teams in general for her, for Giants, she's a big Giants fan and all that stuff. But we were talking, I had never gotten into baseball until her. So like, naturally, she's like, well, you're getting into baseball and here's the Yankees. We're going to watch, so of course I'm going right into, Yankee mode and not know anything else. But yeah, I mean, it totally, I love the rivalry between these teams. And I'm so happy to just have it on TV again because I just love being able to put on a game and just have it in the background while I'm, cleaning or setting up stuff around the house or whatever. So
yeah, that's kind of how I am too.
Yep.
Yeah. And Devers just broke his 0 for 21 streak.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. Gosh, I drafted him. I'm in a fantasy league too, and I drafted Devers. And I'm like, I picked him over Jazz Chisholm, who had, he's hit a couple home runs and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, dang it. Like I could have picked Jazz. I went with Devers. I thought Devers, and he's DHing now. I know he's not happy about that, but he finally, I knew he was going to show up. Eventually he's going to show up.
He cracked a double tonight. He got a single.
Yeah.
I actually have Jazz on my fantasy team.
Oh, do you? Oh, nice. Oh, so you do fantasy too. Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll trade you Devers for Jazz if we could do that.
Good.
Chris said, Crochet is legit. Yeah, man. I remember him last year. I can't. Yeah, for you guys to have him now is pretty dangerous.
That was huge.
Yeah. About the Magic, Eric says my son does proxies a lot. Yeah, proxying cards and decks. It's a great way to just be able to still play and have fun if you're just with friends or whatever, and not have to pay all that money per se.
Thousands of dollars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When we brought up hockey, Ryan says, "Oh, now you're speaking Canadian to me." Stop Bruce RBI double tonight. Yeah.
That's
Very
true.
cool. Yeah, yeah. Love the fandom in the chat here. You guys are awesome. Eric says, I'm waiting for the food talk, man. Yeah, we'll talk a little food here. We'll close it out. So yeah, let's I always like to close out the show, as everybody knows, just with some food talk. So Bruce, if it's if it's a Friday night, it's just you and your wife, say you got a babysitter for the kids, whatever scenarios, it's just you and your wife. And it's a Friday night, you get to choose anything that you guys want to do for dinner. Do you go out to eat? Do you stay home and cook? Do you barbecue, or do you order something in? What is your go-to, and what's like the meal itself that is like your preferred meal?
We got a spot that me and my wife go to. It's right up the road, actually.
Oh, nice.
It's in a hotel, but
okay.
we like to go there. It's a nice little fancy place, and they only have like 4 or 5 things on their menu, but they do everything really, really well.
Perfect. Yeah.
So that, they have ribeye and burgers and, scallops, haddock, all that stuff.
Oh, man. Well, so they got everything.
Yeah. So that plus an ice cold beer, out to eat with my wife. That's no kids.
Yeah.
That's my Friday night right there.
Very nice. Very nice. And what, you mentioned beer. What kind of beer are you into? Any style or anything that you're into right now? I know that can change. Probably.
So during the stream tonight, I just had this one. It's First Mile is actually made the town over for me in
blow that up for a second. Yeah. What's it called? First Mile
Brewing Company. So this is made in Fort Kent, Maine. Local to me. So there we go right there. Nice. Where we live is actually one of the 4 corners of the U.S.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. I never thought of that.
So that's why they call it First Mile. It's the top of Route 1, which brings you all the way down to Florida.
Very cool.
So that I really like IPAs and in the pints. So that's my go-to. IPAs are my life. I said that once, and Ryan made fun of me, so I'm waiting for it.
I'm sure he's getting.
Like, if IPAs are your life, man, we got a problem.
Yeah. That's so funny. Eric says any IPA. Love Revolution. I don't know if I've had a Revolution.
I have. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I always typically will have what's it called? The green like goose. Is it goose? What? There's another word with it. Great. No, not what's it called? Goose Island. Goose Island. Okay. Yeah, which is like a hoppy or IPA. Yeah. But my dad loves it, so I keep it in the house for him. But when he visits,
there you go.
But I've kind of stepped away from beer after a while, just because I don't like how like full or bloated I get. I can have one, and like for something like this where we're just hanging out talking, but if I'm like at dinner, or especially if I'm like about to eat a burger or something like that, even though it does go perfectly with it, it's just like I get so full after after one. But that's awesome, man. I love it. A few things Ryan says. I just want to point out to the Yankee fan and the Red Sox fan that the Jays are currently number 1 in the AL East. Yeah. Enjoy your time.
Right.
I was say, are they? I don't even. I haven't looked at the standings yet. It's too early. Yeah. Matt says, but at least your teams know how to get a win. And he's a Braves fan, so I know that it hasn't been. They're playing the Dodgers. It's a tough. They're on the road against the Dodgers.
Good. The Brewers haven't been doing that good. The Padres are like they've won every game.
Oh,
really early,
yeah. Oh shoot,
I think the Dodgers are undefeated right now, though. Same with the Padres.
Sounds about right. Yeah, Goose Island. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah. Chicago's own. Okay. All right. Yep. Yeah, that's good. All right. Hey, look, that's it. That's what I have. Those are the questions I had, Bruce. Dude, thank you so much, man, for doing this, for being on with me here.
No problem. I can stay on for another 2 hours and talk to you guys.
The same. Yeah.
I got to be up at 4. So
yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I got
a couple hours left.
Yeah. Well, again, for anybody who, whether you're watching here live right now, shout out to the chat. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight and just being there. Always appreciate you. For those watching the replay, thank you as well. Make sure, again, if you're not connected to Bruce, that you do so. I put all his links in the description below. So reach out to Bruce, talk some comics, talk some toys. The guy knows his stuff. So definitely, definitely make sure you're following him over there. Again, appreciate everybody. And Bruce, thanks again so much, man. We definitely will have to have you on the channel again. Maybe we'll discuss maybe a Nightwing book or something like that, or something. We got to collaborate. So
absolutely.
Awesome. Well, appreciate everybody. Make sure you smash that like button. Again, for this show, I'll be back 2 weeks from today. So keep an eye out over on Instagram. I'll share more details along the way. But hey, until next time, we will talk to you later.